If you've been trying to manifest for months or even years without seeing the results you want, I need you to hear this. It's not because manifestation doesn't work, it's not because you're not worthy, and it's definitely not because you need to try harder. The problem is that while you've been consciously trying to create what you want, your mind has been unconsciously blocking what you're trying to receive. Your thoughts have been working against your desires, creating invisible barriers that keep your manifestations just out of reach. Here's the brutal truth that most spiritual teachers won't tell you. Your mind is designed to keep you safe, which means it's designed to keep you the same. Every time you try to manifest something you've never had before, your logical mind starts creating elaborate stories about why it's not possible, why you don't deserve it, or why it's too good to be true. These manifestation blocks aren't just inconveniences, they're active forces working against your conscious desires, and until you learn to identify and dissolve them, you'll remain stuck in the same patterns no matter how many techniques you try. But here's where it gets really exciting. Subconscious reprogramming isn't just possible, it can happen fast when you know exactly what you're working with. The moment you understand how your mind creates these blocks and learn the specific practices to dissolve them, you can experience a quantum mindset shift that transforms manifestation from struggle to flow. This isn't about positive thinking or forcing yourself to believe something. This is about removing the mental interference that's been jamming your signal to the universe. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover exactly why your mind has been your biggest manifestation obstacle, how to turn it into your greatest ally, and the simple practices that can rewire your entire relationship with creating your reality. If you're tired of knowing what to do but not being able to make it work, this is your breakthrough moment. There's a special kind of spiritual frustration that happens when someone has read all the books, watched all the videos, practiced all the techniques, yet their desires remain stubbornly out of reach. They've done the vision boards, the daily affirmations, the scripting, the gratitude practices, everything the experts told them to do, but their reality looks pretty much the same as it did 6 months ago. This isn't because manifestation doesn't work or because they're not worthy of their desires. It's because they're fighting an invisible battle against manifestation blocks they don't even know exist. They're like someone trying to fill a bucket with water while there's a tiny hole at the bottom. No matter how much they pour in, it never seems to reach the level they want. The effort is real, the techniques are valid, but there's something deeper happening beneath the surface. Most people assume that if they're not seeing results, they must be doing something wrong. Maybe they're not visualizing clearly enough, not feeling grateful enough, or not taking enough action. So they pile on more techniques, try harder, and become increasingly frustrated when nothing changes, creating a vicious cycle of effort and disappointment. What they don't realize is that their conscious efforts are being undermined by unconscious programs running in the background of their mind, programs that were installed years ago and are now automatically rejecting the very things they're trying to attract. It's like having a bouncer at the door of their consciousness who's been given a list of everything they're not allowed to have. And no matter how much they consciously want something, this bouncer keeps turning it away. This invisible sabotage is exhausting because they can feel themselves working against some mysterious force that seems stronger than their willpower. The truth that changes everything is understanding that manifestation isn't about forcing the universe to give them what they want. It's about removing the internal resistance that's blocking what they already deserve. Their manifestation blocks aren't character flaws or cosmic punishments. They're simply outdated programs that can be updated once they understand how they work. The real work isn't in the techniques themselves, but in identifying and dissolving the unconscious patterns that make those techniques ineffective. When they realize that their mind has been secretly working against their desires, they can finally start working with it instead of fighting it. This recognition is the first step toward subconscious reprogramming that actually creates lasting change rather than temporary hope. The logical mind is like an overprotective parent who thinks it's keeping someone safe by preventing them from trying anything new or different. While they're trying to manifest abundance, their logical mind is busy cataloging all the reasons why they can't have money: their current bank balance, their past financial failures, their family's money stories, the state of the economy. Every time they try to feel wealthy, their logical mind jumps in with a helpful reminder of their reality, effectively cancelling out their manifestation efforts before they can gain any momentum. This mental interference isn't malicious. It's just how the mind has been programmed to keep them safe within familiar parameters, even if those parameters are limitation and struggle. The logical mind operates on past evidence and current circumstances, which makes it completely incompatible with quantum manifestation that operates on possibility and potential. When someone tries to manifest something they've never had before, their logical mind immediately starts looking for proof that it's possible, and when it can't find any, it concludes that the desire is unrealistic or impossible. This creates a constant internal argument between their conscious desire and their logical assessment, which fragmentizes their energy and sends mixed signals to the quantum field. It's like trying to drive somewhere while constantly slamming on the brakes. They might eventually get there, but it's going to be a long, frustrating journey with lots of stops and starts along the way. The mind's need for logical proof actually becomes the biggest obstacle to receiving what they want. The breakthrough happens when they understand that they don't need to convince their logical mind that their desires are possible. They need to bypass it entirely through quantum mindset shift that operates from a different level of consciousness. This isn't about suppressing thoughts or pretending everything is fine. It's about recognizing that their logical mind is just one tool among many, and it's not the right tool for creating new realities. When they can observe their logical mind without being controlled by it, they create space for quantum possibilities to emerge. The key is learning to acknowledge their mind's concerns without letting those concerns dictate their creative process. This mental detachment is what allows them to access the quantum field, where all possibilities exist simultaneously, waiting to be collapsed into reality through their conscious choice rather than their logical analysis. Deep beneath the surface of their conscious awareness, everyone carries a collection of hidden beliefs and assumptions that act like invisible filters, determining what they can see, experience, and receive from life. These subconscious filters were installed during childhood through traumatic experiences, cultural conditioning, and years of repeated emotional patterns, and they now operate completely automatically, shaping their reality without their conscious participation. Someone might consciously desire love while subconsciously believing people like me get abandoned, or want financial success while holding the deep conviction that money corrupts people. These conflicting beliefs create manifestation blocks that are incredibly powerful because they're invisible to the conscious mind, yet completely visible to the quantum field that's organizing their experiences. The subconscious filter system is so sophisticated that it doesn't just block unwanted experiences, it distorts their perception so they literally cannot see opportunities, synchronicities, or possibilities that don't match their core beliefs. It's like wearing colored glasses that make everything appear a certain way. They might think they're seeing reality clearly, but they're actually seeing a filtered version that confirms their deepest assumptions about themselves and the world. When someone with a poverty consciousness looks at the same situation as someone with an abundance consciousness, they'll see completely different possibilities because their subconscious filters are highlighting different aspects of the same reality. This is why people can live in the same circumstances but have entirely different experiences. They're not experiencing the same reality. They're experiencing their filtered version of reality. The most profound aspect of subconscious reprogramming is realizing that these filters aren't permanent fixtures. They're just habits of perception that can be consciously updated once they're brought to awareness. The hidden beliefs that have been running their life aren't necessarily true. They're just familiar. When someone starts questioning their automatic assumptions and deliberately choosing new beliefs that align with their desires, they literally start seeing a different world. This isn't positive thinking or denial. It's conscious reality creation through belief modification. The moment their subconscious filter shifts to match their conscious desires, their entire experience transforms because they're finally seeing and attracting from the same frequency. This alignment between conscious and subconscious creates a quantum mindset shift that makes manifestation feel effortless rather than impossible. The most liberating realization in the entire journey of overcoming manifestation blocks is discovering that they don't need to fix, heal, or change anything about themselves. They simply need to shift their identity from being the person who has blocks to being the person who observes those blocks. This isn't semantic wordplay. It's a fundamental shift in consciousness that changes everything. The version of them that sees the block, struggles with it, and tries to overcome it is not the same version that manifests effortlessly. When they can step back and observe their patterns, thoughts, and beliefs without being identified with them, they access a higher level of consciousness that isn't limited by those patterns. It's like stepping out of a movie they've been starring in and realizing they can choose to play a different character entirely. Most people spend years trying to analyze, understand, and heal their blocks, which actually keeps them focused on the very things they want to transcend. It's like trying to get out of quicksand by struggling harder. The more energy they put into fighting the problem, the deeper they sink into it. This approach creates what I call therapeutic loops, where they become professional patients of their own limitations, constantly working on themselves but never actually moving beyond the patterns they're trying to heal. The subconscious reprogramming that actually works doesn't come from fixing what's wrong. It comes from identifying with what's right. When they shift their identity from "I am someone who has blocks" to "I am the awareness that observes blocks," they step into a completely different reality where those blocks have no power over them. The practical application of this shift is learning to witness their thoughts, emotions, and patterns without getting pulled into the drama of them. When they notice their mind creating stories about why they can't have what they want, instead of arguing with those stories or trying to replace them with positive ones, they can simply observe them with curious detachment. This act of witnessing without judgment creates a natural spaciousness where blocks lose their power to dictate their reality. The observer consciousness is inherently free, peaceful, and creative because it's not identified with any particular limitation or story. From this elevated perspective, they can choose which thoughts and beliefs to engage with and which ones to let pass by, like clouds in the sky. This quantum mindset shift transforms them from being at the mercy of their mental patterns to being the conscious director of their internal experience. The most effective way to break through manifestation blocks quickly is through a simple but powerful practice I call the quantum clear and reset. This isn't about meditation where they try to empty their mind. It's about actively filling their consciousness with a new frequency that overrides the old programming. They start by taking 3 deep breaths, with each exhale releasing any mental chatter, doubt, or resistance they're carrying. On the inhale, they breathe in the feeling of their desired reality. Not just thinking about it, but actually feeling the emotions of already having it. This conscious breathing pattern literally shifts their nervous system from stress and scarcity into trust and abundance within minutes. After establishing this breathing rhythm, they move into what I call the quantum affirmation loop, repeating a carefully crafted statement that aligns their conscious mind with their desired identity. Instead of generic positive affirmations, this is a specific declaration that speaks directly to their subconscious programming. For example, "I am now choosing to embody the frequency of unlimited abundance and effortless manifestation." They repeat this statement with genuine feeling and conviction for 90 seconds, allowing it to penetrate deeper with each repetition. The key is not just saying the words, but feeling them rewrite their internal operating system in real time. This creates immediate subconscious reprogramming because they're literally installing new software while in an altered state of consciousness. The final minute is spent in what I call future-present embodiment, feeling into their body as if they're already living their desired reality right now. How does their posture change when they know they're abundant? How does their breathing shift when they feel completely loved and supported? What energy do they radiate when they're living their purpose? This embodiment practice anchors the new frequency into their cellular memory, making it easier to access throughout their day. The entire practice takes less time than making a cup of coffee, but it creates a quantum mindset shift that can change their entire energetic signature. When practiced daily, this simple technique becomes the foundation for permanent transformation because it teaches their nervous system to expect and recognize their desired reality as normal rather than extraordinary. The heart operates on a completely different frequency than the mind. While the mind analyzes, compares, and doubts, the heart knows, trusts, and creates. When someone learns to manifest from their heart space instead of their head space, they tap into an intelligence that doesn't need to figure out how their desires will manifest. It simply knows they will. Heart-based creation feels completely different from mental manifestation. It's softer, more intuitive, and infinitely more powerful because it's aligned with the natural flow of life rather than fighting against it. The heart doesn't create manifestation blocks because it doesn't judge, analyze, or resist. It simply loves and allows. When they shift their creative power from their thinking mind to their feeling heart, manifestation becomes an act of love rather than an act of will. The practical difference is profound. Mental manifestation feels like work, while heart manifestation feels like play. When they're creating from their mind, they're constantly trying to control outcomes, manage timelines, and force things to happen according to their logical plans. This creates stress, resistance, and often disappointing results because they're trying to squeeze infinite possibility into finite expectations. But when they create from their heart, they're guided by intuition, synchronicity, and natural flow. They might receive a sudden urge to call someone, go somewhere, or try something new, and that impulse leads them directly to their manifestation in ways their mind could never have planned. Heart-based creation requires trust over control, feeling over thinking, and patience over forcing. The most powerful technique for accessing heart-based creation is called heart coherence manifestation, a practice where they align their breathing with their heartbeat while focusing on the feeling of gratitude for their desired outcome. This creates a measurable state of coherence between their heart and brain that can be detected by sophisticated monitoring equipment, proving that this isn't just spiritual theory, but biological reality. When their heart and mind are coherent, they become a powerful electromagnetic transmitter, broadcasting a clear, consistent signal into the quantum field. This coherent state naturally dissolves manifestation blocks because there's no internal conflict or resistance. Their entire being is aligned in the same direction. Subconscious reprogramming happens effortlessly in this state because their heart naturally knows what's true and possible, even when their mind is filled with doubt and limitation. Most people have been taught that emotions are reactions to circumstances. They feel good when good things happen and feel bad when bad things happen. But the truth that transforms everything is understanding that emotions are not reactions, they're creations. Every feeling they experience is a signal they're broadcasting into the quantum field, and that field responds by sending them more experiences that match that emotional frequency. When they realize that their emotional state is their creative power, not their helpless response to life, they reclaim the ability to consciously choose their reality rather than just react to it. This shift from emotional victim to emotional creator is perhaps the most powerful quantum mindset shift they can make. The revolutionary understanding is that they don't have to wait for their circumstances to change before they can feel the way they want to feel. They can choose to feel abundant before they see money in their bank account, choose to feel loved before they find their soulmate, choose to feel successful before they achieve their goals. This isn't about faking emotions or forcing positivity. It's about recognizing that the feeling of having what they want is available to them right now, independent of their external conditions. When they can access and sustain these elevated emotional states consistently, they become a magnet for experiences that match those feelings. The external world literally reorganizes itself to reflect their internal emotional reality because consciousness creates matter, not the other way around. This practice requires what I call emotional sovereignty, the recognition that no person, situation, or circumstance has the power to determine their emotional state unless they give it that power. They can stand in the middle of chaos and choose peace, face uncertainty and choose confidence, experience temporary setbacks and choose to feel victorious. This isn't denial or spiritual bypassing, it's conscious emotional creation based on their desired outcome rather than their current circumstances. When they master this skill, manifestation blocks become irrelevant because they're no longer dependent on external validation to feel the way they want to feel. They become the source of their own emotional fulfillment, which makes them irresistible to the quantum field because they're broadcasting from fullness rather than emptiness. This subconscious reprogramming happens naturally because their nervous system starts to expect these elevated states as normal rather than exceptional. The ultimate goal isn't to eliminate the mind or suppress its natural functions, but to establish the proper hierarchy where consciousness leads and the mind follows. When awareness is in charge, the mind becomes an incredible ally rather than an obstacle. It stops creating manifestation blocks and starts creating solutions, stops generating doubt and starts generating possibilities, stops protecting limitations and starts expanding potential. This integration happens when they consistently choose to operate from their highest awareness rather than their automatic mental programming. The mind is like a powerful computer that will run whatever software they install. When they consciously choose thoughts that align with their desires, their mind becomes their greatest manifestation tool. The key to this transformation is understanding that they are not their thoughts. They are the consciousness that chooses which thoughts to think. When they stop being a victim of their mental activity and start being the director of it, everything changes. Instead of their mind running them, they run their mind. Instead of thoughts thinking them, they think their thoughts. This conscious choice-making creates a quantum mindset shift that ripples through every aspect of their experience, because they're no longer at the mercy of random mental activity. They can consciously select thoughts that feel good, thoughts that align with their goals, thoughts that support their highest vision of themselves. This selective thinking isn't about denial or force, it's about conscious curation of their internal experience. When consciousness takes the lead, the mind naturally begins to subconscious reprogramming itself to support their conscious intentions rather than their unconscious conditioning. They might notice that negative thought patterns start to feel foreign and uncomfortable, while positive, possibility-focused thinking starts to feel natural and automatic. Their mind begins to look for evidence of their desired reality rather than evidence of their limitations, creating a positive feedback loop that accelerates manifestation. This isn't about controlling every thought, which would be impossible and exhausting, but about establishing a conscious relationship with their mental activity where they're the aware witness who can choose which thoughts deserve their attention and energy. When this integration is complete, manifestation becomes effortless because their conscious desires and their unconscious programming are finally working together instead of against each other. So here's what I need you to understand. Your mind isn't your enemy. It's just been programmed to protect you from change, even when that change is exactly what you want. The manifestation blocks you've been experiencing aren't permanent fixtures. They're just outdated software that can be updated the moment you learn how to work with your mind instead of against it. Subconscious reprogramming isn't about forcing yourself to think differently. It's about creating the conditions where your mind naturally aligns with your desires. Are you ready to stop fighting your own mind and start partnering with it? Are you willing to release the need to understand how your desires will manifest and trust the quantum mindset shift that happens when you get out of your own way? Because here's what I know. The moment you stop trying to convince your mind that your desires are possible and start embodying the feeling of them being inevitable, everything changes. I want to know, what's the biggest mental block you've identified that's been sabotaging your manifestation? What thought pattern are you ready to release so you can finally receive what you've been asking for? Share it in the comments because naming your blocks is the first step to dissolving them, and I want to support your breakthrough. And if you're serious about mastering the art of subconscious reprogramming and learning the advanced techniques for turning your mind into a manifestation powerhouse, make sure you watch the video appearing on your screen right now. I'm going to reveal the 3 most common mental patterns that keep even advanced manifestors stuck. Patterns that might be operating in your mind right now without you even knowing it. Remember, your mind is the most powerful manifestation tool you have when you learn to use it consciously. Subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, and join me every week as we explore the deeper mechanics of consciousness and creation. Your breakthrough is one thought away from becoming your reality.